Next, this afternoon, we're going to be taking a look at finding my ikigai or vocation. What are today's trends in jobs? What impacts your choices on a future career? And what is your strengths, personality, interests, knowledge, and motivations? So you're going to be using the green folder that I provided you with. And in that green folder, you will have handout that has the word decide on the front, with 4 images on it: heart, trophy, dollar bill, and a globe. So that's the sheet you're going to be working with as we go through this afternoon's lessons. So please have that out, and we're going to work with that. So we're going to watch this video clip that discusses what is ikigai, or in other words, translation, vocation. And then we'll watch another video clip that you will be watching to determine what your ikigai is. So we'll get started on this one.
Hi, everybody. How enthusiastic are we today? Yeah. No indifference in this crowd, that's for sure. That's what I like to see. Today, I want to tell you about an amazing word. And it's that word right there. That word, first thing you have to learn is how to pronounce it. It's pronounced ikigai. You lift your cheeks like you're smiling. It's ikigai. Say it with me. Ikigai. Got it. That's right. It's not pronounced ikigai. If I was wearing a lime green fur Speedo, that would be an ikigai. This is ikigai. And the most wonderful thing about this word is that, first off, it's a good looking word. But secondly, this word is really like a treasure map. And this treasure map can help you find your way to finding wonderful things about yourself that you can share with the world, and the world will say thank you for it. So let me tell you all about it. But first I have to warn you, it takes work. Now, I had a job once upon a time, about this time last year. Had a radio host job at CBC Radio 2. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was so good. However, I quit my job. I quit my job so I could focus on my work instead. So let's just clarify that. A job in this context is something that you do as a regular form of employment. It's what you get, money to do, so you get paid for your house and for your food and things like that. Work, on the other hand, work is something that you do in order to achieve a result, something like a product, or maybe even something like a purpose, maybe like a more meaningful you. Sounds good, doesn't it? So this last year, my work focused on anything that I could do that was exciting, that was interesting to me. I went on a trip to Oregon, and I saw the full eclipse with my full eyes. I also went on a icebreaker, and I traveled across the Northwest Passage. I went to Canada's North Coast. I also traveled with my family and some dear friends. We went to Dominican Republic. We helped build houses for people, and I filmed a documentary. And I also did all sorts of little projects as well. I had a podcast for a while. I wrote a play that was a musical. I also did a Facebook Live talk. But probably more precious than anything is that I finally got to go on a family trip to Okinawa, Japan. Now, Okinawa is very precious to me because it's a place where my grandparents were born. It's also the place where ikigai comes from. I've always felt something urging me to get out and to do special things in my life, and I think it was ikigai that did it. Okinawa, by the way, is a place that the most 100-year-olds in the world live per capita. 100-year-olds are revered and respected, but Okinawa was very, very special to me because of the connection to my family and ikigai. And I was thinking, boy, why couldn't this whole ikigai thing spread around the world? Well, it is possible, and there's another idea that came from Okinawa that you've heard of. It's karate. Karate Kid? Daniel-san? Karate is actually two words in Japanese. Kara, which means empty, and te, which means hand. So it literally translates to empty hand. Now, in 1609, the Japanese forces invaded Okinawa. It was called Ryukyu Island back then. Basically, they won the battle, and they said to the Okinawans, okay, you can't have weapons anymore. Give us your weapons. And the Okinawans said, okay, here you go. Our hands will be our weapons. They had already invented karate. They didn't call it karate yet, but they knew that they had a special form of self-defense. Then in the Second World War, there was another terrible battle that happened in Okinawa, and it was the American forces this time fighting the Japanese forces. History shows that the American forces won the Battle of Okinawa, and they've been stationed there ever since. And since then, the American soldiers have witnessed karate for the first time. And they said, hey, this is pretty cool. I want to learn karate too. So they learned it, and eventually they would take it back to the United States. And it started to spread and spread and spread. Now everybody knows about karate, right? That other concept that comes from Okinawa is ikigai. Ikigai is two words as well. Iki means life, gai, purpose. Ikigai is life's purpose. Isn't that a beautiful word? It's a lovely word. Thank you for your indifference. This is what it means. This is the treasure map. Ikigai has 4 directions. Do what you love. Do what you're good at. Do what the world needs. And do what you can be rewarded for. It seems simple, but it's difficult. Now, I would estimate that Ikigai is similar to karate in that you can earn degrees or belts in it as well. You have to start someplace. And I think that I got my yellow belt when I was 20 years old. Sexy time. I was 20 years old, and I was living at my parents' house, and I remember laying in bed one day thinking to myself, what am I going to do for the rest of my life that would be interesting and fun? I didn't want to just go get a job. I wanted to focus on my work. And like a bolt of lightning, it hit me, and I sat up in bed, and I said, I'm going to go to music school. So that's what I did. I went to music school for 2 years, and then from that moment on, I focused on nothing but music aspects in my life. I've done all sorts of amazing things in my life. I worked for a record company called MCA Records. I also made 6 jazz albums. I performed all over the country. I had that 10-year career at CBC Radio 2, 6 nights a week, writing 70 stories every week. It was such an amazing career. But then I came to realize something, that I enjoyed myself, but I didn't really know why I was doing it. I knew what I wanted to do, or what I loved to do, and what I was good at, but I didn't understand why I was doing it and why the world needed that. So I spent this last year figuring out what my ikigai is, and I boiled it down to a 2-word phrase. My ikigai is to delight. To delight. That's what I go out for every day in the world, whether I'm talking with a clerk at the grocery store, or if I'm singing a song on stage, or if I'm on the radio, or if I'm giving a TED Talk to you wildly attractive people right now. My ikigai is to delight. I throw it out into the world, and I get it back in return. It's the full cycle. Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, well, that's great, Tim. Now we know what your ikigai is. What is my ikigai? Let me give you some directions on how you might be able to start figuring that out. I suggest to start part-time. Part-time ikigai is within reach, right? It is very within reach. And I'll tell you something. When you look at there and you see on the screen that there are 2 sections of the day where you don't really do anything, that adds up to 8 hours, you can focus your work on the 5 to 9 hours of the day. okay? Start part-time. Figure out what you love to do and what you're good at. Spend time on that for as long as you like. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can start a side hustle, or you can do a side helpful. A side hustle, by the way, there's a lot of millennials that have side hustles. Up to 50% of millennials have side hustles, according to studies. 50%. And why do they have those side hustles? It's because it gives them the opportunity to be able to do what they're good at and do what they love. And it opens up the opportunity to be able to transfer that part-time ikigai into maybe full-time ikigai down the road. And it doesn't hurt that you can make a little bit of money off it either, right? But what if money isn't necessarily behind your ikigai? Maybe you want to just broaden your heart. Well, you can do a side helpful instead. At Yale University, Professor Laurie Santos teaches a course that is called The Science of Well-Being. And this course, she takes time to be able to explain that we are really, really bad at figuring out what it is that are going to make us happy. So things like money and job and your good looks and your big house, they really have no impact on your base level of happiness. What does have an impact are things like kindness and meditation, time affluence, in other words, doing with your time what you want to do with your time, and spending time with friends and family. Ikigai is an action, it's a verb. To serve, to create, to delight, to nourish, to provide, to teach, to heal, to connect, to build. Is there any verb on that list that resonates with somebody in the crowd? Nod your head if there is. Yes? Yeah, there's some nodding happening down here. Yes? Show, put up your hand if you see something up there that's exciting. I have some yellow belts. This is good. Where's your hand? There we go. There's a yellow belt for you. We got a yellow belt in the front row over there, and there's got to be somebody over there. There's a yellow belt right there. You have earned your yellow belt in Ikigai. You know what you're good at. You know what you love to do. Looks good on you. Ikigai is as reliable as a mathematical equation. Ikigai equals time affluence plus your gifts plus rewards in return. And you can do it over and over and over again, and you're going to be so much richer because of it. Your meaningful life is not a destination you have to get to. Your meaningful life is something that you can enjoy right now and any time you want to. Okay? A little bit of joy every day is going to add up to a lifetime of joy, isn't it? And when you finally get the chance to spend time getting to know what you do, or what you love and what you're good at, your ikigai will start to come into light. And eventually, over time, you will earn your black belt. Your meaningful life is going to be a lot of work. But I think you really already know this. But you are worth the work. And now you have the Ikigai map to show you how. So I invite you to try Ikigai. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so that video helped to explain what Ikigai is. And now we're going to take a look at another video. Oops, not that one. Exploring our career options with Japanese Ikigai. So you're going to be using the Decide handout that I told you to get earlier. And we're going to start to watch this together. And as we go through, he's going to model some examples of how to kind of complete your Ikigai sheet. So it's got the image. You see that it's kind of on the screen right now, but it's got his image of the Venn diagram on the inside of your handout.
What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you.
You're going to use that to brainstorm and then transfer your informations from the chart for your Ikigai vocation.
I wasn't going to produce a video today, but that would just be me coasting. Today, you're going to want to stick around for this. We're going to talk about how to find and do work that you love. We can all do work. We all can make money, but we want to do something that's purposeful, that we follow our heart and our pursuit, and we want to be able to make money doing that. So this is another whiteboard session on a Friday. Stick around. We're going to get right into it right now. Okay, so the prompt for this was really, you've just graduated school and now you have to make these big decisions on what you're going to do with your life. Are you going to do something that you love, something that you're good at, something that pays really well, or something that the world needs? And this is kind of a tough thing. So here you are. You've just graduated. Congratulations, by the way. You made it through a 4-year program. And which route are you going to go? Which way are you going to go? And I think the way that the world has told you is you must think of these things as isolated things, that if you do something that you love, you're an artist, you're a poet, you're a writer, you're a musician, something like that. But that means you're going to starve, and it's going to be very selfish because the world really doesn't need you to do this thing. Jonah, is there something that you love to do? That you're like, film and photography. Let's write that down. So Jonah likes film and photography.
So I want you to write down what you like and put it under the heart.
What about you, Jaden? Web design? Well, but you can't add to make money. Would you do web design if you made no money? Okay, so let's put that there. And I'll put one of my own in here too. Okay? When I grew up, I loved to draw. So I thought what I really want to do is to draw comics. That's really what I wanted to do. I love this. The only problem with me drawing comics is I'm not that good of a drafts person. I didn't have any life drawing classes or figure drawing classes, so this was not something I was good at. And I could see that there were other people around me who were more natural born talents in terms of drawing. Are we okay? Okay, great. So you need to do something that you're good at. So Jonah, what are you good at? What comes easy to you? What do you do better than a lot of people? Editing. Okay, this is good. I'm glad the answer is a little bit different. Okay,
so I want you to write that in yours now.
Jaden? Wireframe? Okay, like, what is wireframe to most people? Okay, so I'll just write wireframe then. Wireframe. Okay, so some level of self-awareness helps right now. So we wrote down editing, wireframe, things that I'm good at. I think I like business. I think I've known that for a really long time. Some people think, oh, you've discovered that you want to be an entrepreneur and you discovered that after college. I said, no. When I was growing up, I always wanted to try to figure out how I could do something that was valuable to other people and to sell it for more than what it cost me to make. So in the beginning, I sold candy when I was in junior high. I sold Ninja Stars, which is illegal, so don't do that. Anything I could get my hands on to make that I could hopefully inject a little creativity or give somebody something they needed, then I would be able to make money. So I was thinking, like, I'm pretty good at doing business stuff, I think. And the more I learned, the better I got at doing that. Okay. So then this is usually the voice of your mom or your dad or somebody who's taking care of you, your guardian. They usually want to protect you from harm, so they advise you to do things that pay well. So they usually take a look back into history and say, historically speaking, what has paid well. So Jonah, what did your parents tell you? You should go do this. I'm pretty sure they didn't tell you to do film and editing. So we can't really hear Jonah, but he said they certainly did not. They didn't say that. So what did they say for you? Whoa, that's a good say for like mechanical engineering. And okay, and they would have been really proud of you if you became a mechanical engineer. I'm pretty sure of it, right? They would have been. And not. Okay. Hey, while we're on the fly here, Ricky, can you help us out since you're here? Can you get us a wireless mic in case Jonah and Jaden want to participate? Okay, mechanical engineer. That's fantastic. And did you break your parents' heart? Yes. And what was the problem? Why didn't you fulfill their dream for their son? What happened? Did you even try? So you worked hard at school, tried to get good grades. Oh, you didn't work hard at school. So when you say you tried, what did you try to do then? Oh, so you did apply to a school to become a mechanical engineer? What school was that? University of Houston. So you got into the school? I see. So you showed up and you're like, this is not for me. Okay, so they helped you to pick a career that would pay well, but you didn't feel any love for it. You were probably not good at it either, but they said it would pay well. And Jaden, what about you? An engineer. An IT person. Okay, I like IT since we won't use that. So an IT person, they thought that would pay well. It would make sure that you're not going to starve. They don't want to see the people they love get hurt. That's just the bottom line. That's why parents do what they do, right? We understand that. Okay. For me, my parents wanted me to become, this is pretty typical of immigrant families, a doctor or a lawyer.
Okay, so I want you to write in there under
And
the
believe
money
it or not, when I took
what
my high school
your parents want you to be.
high school aptitude test, and I filled it all out, and it told me I should be a stockbroker. So
You can also write that in there.
Broker.
What you found out from
They seem
today's
to
research.
do okay. An investment banker, a hedge fund manager. Yeah, that seems right. Now, did any one of your influences, or did you ever consider what does the world need from you? What does the world need from you?
Oof, I did not.
You did not.
Did you, Jade?
You have to talk into the mic, Jaden. Go ahead. So the world didn't need. Nobody thinks about this, right?
Yeah.
And this is usually the missing component. Now, some young people today. Who's the girl Greta, who sailed across?
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg. She sailed across the Atlantic solo. Something like.
She sailed with the team.
Oh, she sailed with a team, but she's like a very young girl, and she's very mission-driven, super confident, self-aware human being at such a young age. It's amazing that somebody like that exists in the world, and she's speaking out against climate change, right? And so,
for
climate change is either both good or bad, right? Speaking out against climate change, that the impact that humans are making, kind of our carbon footprint in destroying the world. Okay, there are a lot of people that are upset. So, what does the world need? Very few of us ever even think about this. And where is this all going? Let me introduce you to this concept if you're not aware of this already. The concept is a Japanese concept. It's called Ikigai. And hopefully I've been able to copy paste correctly in Google. And I hope my Japanese friends, konnichiwa, that this does say Ikigai. Now, you guys that were laughing at me about my Japanese pronunciation, I did have somebody who was of Japanese origin say, thank you for saying that. Thank you. But you, Ricky Ricardo, was laughing at me so hard. Here with the mic, it's still hot, right? So Ikigai is this concept it's a Japanese concept, and it means thing that you live for, a reason for being. A reason for being. And it's broken down into 4 circles like this. It's kind of a 4-circle Venn diagram. And it talks about what do you love? What does the world need? What do you get paid money for? And what are you good at?
So that's on page 2 of your handout.
So we
flip
talk
to
about
that.
Reason for being. A reason for being. Should I switch colors or is black okay? Is it okay? Okay. The reason for being, a thing that you live for. This sounds pretty good. This almost feels like a millennial concept because it's like in our generation, it was just about going to work and that's what you did. You did your 9 to 5 and then you live for the weekends. You become a weekend warrior, right? So the weekends were your escape from work. And it seems like we're in a different era now where the thing that you love, the thing that you're good at, should be also the thing that you get paid for. And if we can design our lives around that idea, we'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier than we've ever been. And this is the key. Okay, so what happens if you love something? If you really, truly love something, and the world needs this. Remember the world? It's like this. The world needs it, and you love it, but you don't make any money, and you're not actually very good at it. This is considered a mission. And a lot of people do this. Missionaries do this. People that are very religious go out into the world, and people who support disadvantaged people They go out because their purpose is filled, but they don't make any money doing that. Now, if you're good at something and you love it, but you don't get paid for it, that would be considered your passion. So I think Ricky is really good at baseball. He does love it, but he didn't get to that upper echelon for whatever reason. And only a small percentage of people actually make it there. Like, what is it, 0.01%? Very small percentage of people make it into professional sports. We get that. And if you're good at it and you're paid for it, that's called your profession. I think you guys may be kind of figuring out where I'm going with this. If you're good at it and you get paid for it, but there's no love, it's just what you do. It's what we call a job, a job. You show up, you do the work, you get paid, and you can't wait for work to be over. When we had Seth Godin on our show, he talked about this, I think. He talked about the difference between work and art. Work, when you go to work, you feel like, when is it over? And when it's art, it's like, how long can I do this for? So what we're trying to do is combine those things. And people often ask me, Chris, how is it that you do what you do? Do you sleep? Do you have more hours? Is there a secret time machine? Are you cloning yourself? What is going on? Well, I want to be very clear. There's a whole team of people who are working with me, but even if they weren't working with me, I am filled with mission, passion, and things I get paid for. So I'm supercharged that way. And then the last one is the world needs it and you're paid for it, but you may not be good at it. So we're going to call this a vocation. And there's a difference between the word vocation and profession. Okay? I don't know what the difference is, but I'm telling you there's a difference. Ricky, do you know the difference between vocation and profession?
I don't. I was going to ask you.
Okay. Well, somebody has the internet. Look up what the word vocation means, and then let me know. Okay? So ikigai is to say that we must find something here. This will be our reason for being. And this is really important. You must love it. You got to get paid for it. So all these things are in balance. And it's such a Japanese concept. They come together. Now, you may have seen a diagram like this before, a Venn diagram where they have three bubbles. Usually what you love, what you're good at, what you're paid for. They leave out this part, what the world needs. And I just want to say something here. For 23 plus years, I ran this company. I love design. I love business. I'm pretty good at these things and motion graphics and making video. And we got paid handsomely for making commercials, less so music videos, but we were part of the circle. And I don't know why, but I felt like there was a hole missing inside of me that I couldn't fill. And I wanted to get out of this, even though I loved it, and I was paid for it, and I was good at it. There's something else. And it wasn't until I started to teach, and my wife had noticed something. She had said to me, it's really great that you're able to impact the lives of a few students, 8, 10 students every semester, and you spend time and you give so much of yourself, and I can see their eyes light up when you share something. But is there more? Is there more? Can you do more with your time? Is this a good exchange of your time? It sent me down a 3 to 6 month rabbit hole of searching and trying to figure it out. And then I figured it out. It's doing what I'm doing with you right now. I get to teach you the things that I know, what I'm good at, the things I care about, that I love, and I'm going to make money off this, but I get to help the world. The world needs us. So for me, my ikigai is exactly this. It's the future, teaching 1 billion people on planet Earth how to make money.
Okay, so we're going to pause there. So you should be able to have, around the Venn diagram that you drew, you should be able to have some of those ideas and concepts that he asked you to kind of pause and complete, should be able to complete that. If you need to go back and rewatch this and kind of fill it out more, you may do so, but I'm going to move on with the next slide now. Okay. So a little bit of a continuation on how to exemplify the brainstorm of the Ikigai, if you still need a little bit more.
Best of both, where we can actually have a nice meaty piece of content for you that's been edited so you don't waste any time watching it, and to do some live things so I can demonstrate with you and also respond to comments. Both Jaden and Ricky are here now monitoring your comments, so go ahead and write any of the comments down. I wanted to just quickly recap, like, what happened here with, is her name Kaylee? With Kaylee, what did we do there? So what I wanted to do was to explore to her, without the parameters of needing to make money or anything else, like what she loved. And it's a very useful exercise to think back between the ages of 7 and probably 14, when you weren't so wrapped up in the world and adulting, that you could just sit there and think about the things that you love. And if you travel back in time, a good trigger is to think back to the house that you lived in when you were 7 years old. Try to think about the street name, the car that your parents drove, the color, and it'll start to trigger memories. As I'm doing more research on how we learn, it's interesting how a smell, a sight, a texture will trigger memories. So we as human beings, we record everything. It's our ability to recall things is the difficult part. So some things will trigger memory. So think back. Think back to when you're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. What did you love to do? And make a list. So I love making lists. What I would suggest that you do is this. Make 4 columns and just try to fill up each one, irregardless of anything, any kind of reality. Don't ground it in that. Just write as many things as you can. Remember what you loved. Generally speaking, what you're good at requires skill, requires training, and requires practice. But
Okay,
if
so
you
I'm just
possess
going to
of both,
pause
well,
that
we can
for a
actually
minute.
have a nice meeting.
Oops, I went a little too far. Just going to pause that. So you have that chart with the boxes. What do you love? So he suggested you kind of provide a listing. So I want you to do that right now as I set up the continuation of this.
Best of both, where we can actually have. I love making lists. What I would suggest that you do is this: make 4 columns and just try to fill up each one, irregardless of anything, any kind of reality. Don't ground it in that. Just write as many things as you can. Remember what you loved.
Okay, so you're going to fill that. You're next going to go through what you are good at, and you're going to post that as well and write that down.
Best of both, where we can actually have a nice meaty piece of content for you that's been edited so you don't waste any time. Okay. Needs right now. Forget about your skill set, what you love. Just sit down and think, what do we need? What does the world want right now? What are big problems that really could use some help? Make a list.
Okay, so I want you to do that right now. What does the world need?
And then step back and look at those 4 columns and try to build a bridge between as many of the words you wrote up as possible. Some of you guys have been part of either my keynote or one of my workshops on finding your superpower. I do all of this except for I add a 5th bubble into it. When I shared this finding your superpower framework with somebody, they're like, oh, that's just like IKIGAI. Chris, do you know about IKIGAI? I said, no. That's what led me here. Okay? And while we were at the break, I found out the difference between profession and vocation. Profession usually requires training and education. It's professional, while vocation is probably like somebody who doesn't go to school, but they have innate skill. They still have to get training, but it's a very different kind of training. So that's the difference between vocation and profession, just written in blue here. So what we're going to do is this. My friend, Jaden, is going back to school pretty soon. He has to finish up school, and he's sad. We're sad to see him go.
Okay, so I'm going to pause that there. And if you need to view the rest of this video, I have the link posted. So you'll be able to watch to the end if you need a little bit more step-by-step on how to fill in those boxes. But at this point, you should have complete your first page of that chart with ideas brainstormed on the decide sheet. Then on the Venn diagram, you should have ideas brainstormed out of that. And from that Venn diagram, you should then be able to, in the chart form, have a listing of what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what can you get paid for, okay? And so that would be determining your Ikigai. So in terms of looking at your research assignment that you'll have for this class, I wanted to go over to see whether your Ikigai is what you kind of researched this morning session when you did some of those personality tests or career tests for the purpose of seeing, do they add up? Do they match? And see which kind of path. Maybe you've come up with a different path or perspective after this lesson. Maybe you have the other one set. that you decided you wanted to do a while ago. Take a look and see if that kind of pulls into those 4 categories from that brainstorm, okay? Many people at this stage, they have trouble determining what they want to do, or they struggle with what their future career could be. So finding your Ikigai, I found, was something that could be very useful for many of you, especially in the situation approach today. On the website, I will also post handout. The handout is there, but also if you need a bit more of a guided approach, I will post that for you to support you as well. If this video didn't really help you out as much, this other one may present the ideas in a bit more simplified manner, okay? So what did we learn from this video? And these videos that we've watched today. Passions and interests should govern your decisions in a career, not necessarily your parents' dream job for you. It is okay to change career paths, even multiple times in your life. If you choose a career path that is linked with your interests, you will be happy about your contributions to that work because you're interested in it for the right reasons. And now it's time for you to reflect on your passion and how it can lead to a future career path. Okay, so if you did the morning career cruising through my blueprint, you won't need to do this unless you really didn't get any career path or anything kind of ID'd or labeled for you. If you need to go to this one, you'll go to the website that's posted there, careercruising.com, and you'll complete the set of questions outlined on this site. So God has created us in his own image and instilled in us various gifts and talents. God gives us the freedom to choose to use the talents effectively. And if we do so, we respect ourselves, him, and his creation and plan for us on earth. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do is I'm going to discuss the assignment that we have. Okay, so I'm going to record that in a separate video so that if you need to go over the assignment, I'm going to go over the assignment separately. But it should be based off of what you've determined your career path to be, whether it be from the Ikigai presentation, whether it be from the quizzes this morning or the career cruising after, or any other type of aptitude test that you choose to use. You need to have one form of a career for this assignment that is for this unit. Okay, so that will be presented to you in the next video clip.